Good evening and welcome to Ignite News on 6 at 6. It's Friday, March 21st, 2025. I'm Rihanna Nikram. Thanks for joining us. Here's what's making headlines tonight. Guyana's sovereignty is not negotiable. U.S. Secretary of State to visit Guyana. GCOM CEO rejects legal officers' court statements. And stronger enforcement needed against gold smuggling. President Dr. Irfaan Ali today reminded that Guyana's sovereignty is non-negotiable. Speaking at the opening of the Guyana Defense Force Air Corps hangar at Ogle, President Ali stated that no part of Guyana will be surrendered. He noted that while the hangar will mainly be used for search and rescue operations, it will also bolster Guyana's ability to monitor security threats from Venezuela. President Ali emphasized that defending Guyana's territorial integrity is crucial for national development. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will visit Guyana next week as part of a Caribbean tour. The Miami Herald reports that Rubio will first travel to Jamaica for talks with Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Wednesday. He will then head to Suriname and Guyana, where he'll meet with President Dr. Irfaan Ali and Suriname's President Chan Santoki. The trip follows a regional invitation made by CARICOM Chair and Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. Last month, Mottley called on President Trump and senior U.S. officials to visit the region. During his visit, Rubio is expected to discuss the escalating border crisis between Guyana and Venezuela. The U.S. recently issued a warning to Venezuela after a patrol boat entered Guyana's waters, threatening ExxonMobil operations on March 1st. Vice President Dr. Bar Jagdeo says the government is taking steps to defend Guyana's amid rising tensions with Venezuela. He emphasized that national security matters require discretion, saying there will be no public discussion of military strategies.
If I were to go and say, this is our specific plan to counter Venezuelan arriving here, this is what the army is doing, it would be extremely stupid of me to do that. You recognize that. And I wouldn't want to telegraph that to the Venezuelans. So that is why those matters are being addressed. Let me assure you that those matters relating to the Venezuelan aggression against our country and their threat to our territorial integrity and sovereignty are receiving the attention of the entire government at the highest level, at the presidential level, on a daily basis. I can assure you of that. And we're working with a number of partners around the world to ensure that any Venezuelan aggression that manifests itself in a physical form would be dealt with appropriately.
Dr. Jagdeo also warned that any Guyanese supporting Venezuela's claim to Essequibo or organizing elections in the county will face treason charges. The National Tusaos Council has denied claims by Venezuela's ruling party that election meetings were held in Essequibo. General Secretary of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, has claimed that assemblies were held to identify candidates for elections on May 25th. He claimed that 13,902 names were nominated, following 47,000 assemblies with an estimated participation of 5 million people. According to the council, these claims are false and preposterous. They stress that anyone familiar with the county of Essequibo knows the numbers quoted far exceeds the population. Guyana's total population, including Essequibo, is less than 1 million. The Tusaos Council says to date no election activities have been conducted by Venezuela in Essequibo and reaffirms that any attempt to do so would be a violation of Guyana's sovereignty. Chief Investment Officer Dr. Peter Ramsarup is urging investors to explore new markets as Guyana's economy continues to grow. At the Brazil-Guyana Trade Mission in Roraima, Dr. Ramsarup highlighted opportunities in sectors such as agriculture, logistics, tourism, and manufacturing. He stressed that while oil and gas have boosted the economy, these non-oil sectors are set for significant growth. Ramsarup encouraged partnerships between Guyanese and Brazilian businesses, pointing to Guyana's expanding infrastructure and trade routes to the Caribbean and North America. With improved connectivity, port expansion, and streamlined train policies, Dr. Ramsrup described Guyana as an ideal gateway for regional commerce. Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad has rejected statements made by the agency's legal officer, Kurt De Silva, during a High Court hearing on the house-to-house verification case. In a public statement on Thursday, Prasad said that De Silva's remarks did not reflect his official instructions. The CEO is referring to De Silva's position that the law requires the Guyana Elections Commission to prepare separate voter lists and ballots for general and regional elections. Prasad described the statements as creating unnecessary uncertainty ahead of elections and asked that they be seen as an aberration. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo has reiterated that his government has no influence on U.S. policies. At the time, he was responding to opposition protests held in support of social media personality Melissa Melimel Atwell, who has been detained by the U.S. Immigration Customs and Enforcement. On Tuesday, during a unity meeting held for Atwell at the Square of the Revolution, protesters alleged that government played a role in her detention. Speaking during his weekly press conference at Freedom House, Dr. Jagdeo said,
So we've seen the protests at the Square of the Revolution, and it is the right of any Guyanese to stage a protest. We're not going to get sucked into the debate around Miss Atwell. Now, here are things that we can say factually. We don't control ICE in the United States of America. They have a really high opinion of the People's Progressive Party to think that we can control the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Unit of the United States of America.
The vice president added that he is flattered by the belief that his government is powerful enough to influence U.S. actions, but it is not true. He called on the opposition and other protesters to publicly state that they are against the policies of the Trump administration rather than implicate the People's Progressive Party. Chief Education Officer Saddam Hussein has apologized for insensitive content found in a grade 3 social studies textbook, Guyanese in the World. Speaking in a video on the ministry's Facebook page, Hussein said,
"My attention was drawn to a post on Facebook which identified a number of insensitive materials found within one of our textbooks. This textbook is, of course, Guyanese in the World. It's a grade 3 textbook which is used by primary school learners for social studies. As Chief Education Officer, I want to acknowledge the concerns raised by members of the public. As Chief Education Officer, I want to say that the Ministry of Education deeply regrets the offense or the distress that has been caused to parents, to students, to the wider community, and especially to the residents of Chinese Landing."
Hussein assured the public that the material will be withdrawn and quality assurance processes strengthened at the ministry to prevent a reoccurrence. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo is calling for stronger enforcement against school smuggling. At his weekly press conference, he expressed concerns over the scale of smuggling networks.
From what we've been hearing, it's a ring of people here in Georgetown too. I can tell you that there are operations against people who are buying gold at a price significantly above the world market price because they're evading their government's royalty and smuggling it into Brazil.
His comments come shortly after local authorities successfully dismantled a gold smuggling ring involving Guyanese and Brazilians. The vice president noted that other intelligence operations are ongoing. Information received so far indicates that operations extend beyond mining areas and involve residents of Georgetown. The newly modernized Betawaktin Practical Instruction Center is ready to welcome students. The $225 million facility, funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, will serve 400 students from Region 4. It features modern workshops and will host students during regular school hours and evening classes.
Which said children will then go into either TVET or mainstream education, but they will have choices that their parents never had. So when we say TVET can save you, we say that with passion because we understand that it is these skills that the world now needs. It is these skills that Guyana, in a special way, now needs. And it is these skills that are paying right now.
The Guyana Police Force has welcomed 65 new recruits following their successful graduation from the Guyana Police Force Academy's initial training program. At the graduation ceremony held at the Police Officers Training Center on Thursday, the graduates received certificate and special awards for outstanding performance. The rigorous program, coordinated by Sergeant Orlan Allen, covered 3 courses designed to build physical endurance, mental resilience, and ethical standards. The curriculum also included modules on tactical skills, modern policing techniques, and updated legal frameworks. Deputy Commissioner Administration Ravindra Budram, during his feature address, urged the recruits to remain disciplined, humble, and committed. And in international news, the Sudanese army says it has recaptured the presidential palace in Khartoum from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces after nearly 2 years of fighting. According to the BBC, this marks a major victory for the army as it continues to regain ground across Sudan. However, large swaths of the country remain under the control of the Rapid Support Forces, and clashes are ongoing in areas near the palace and the capital's airport. A statement from the paramilitary group claims that a drone strike on the palace killed several, including journalists and senior army media officials. The Battle for Khartoum appears far from over, but jubilant soldiers celebrated online, posting photos of prayers and cheers at the palace entrance. And that's all for this edition of Ignite News on 6 at 6. For more stories, visit ignitenews.com or follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Rihanna Nikram. See you tomorrow for more Ignite News.